It is such an honor to be honored by you, my colleagues. We are so blessed to be alive right now, don't you think? To see what we're seeing. If you're anywhere close to my age, you grew up not even imagining we could ever see what we're seeing right now. It is just amazing. And to receive an honor with Sue Hyde's name on it is a double dip on the honor roll. Thank you so much. I just want to say a couple of things. One is, don't forget that there are progressive Christians and Jews and Muslims and people of every ilk out there who are working to change what so many of us, me included, grew up with, which was the Bible being used as a bludgeon against us. We actually worship a living God that continues to reveal God's self to us. God didn't stop communicating with us at the end of the first century when the canon of Scripture was closed and it was determined which books would be in the Bible. I would be interested in no such God who at that time would have said, you know, I've said everything I'm going to say, good luck to you, I'm off to the Bahamas. But I believe in a God that is constantly revealing God's self to us. Isn't that why we got over centuries-long justification of slavery using Scripture? Isn't that how at least some of us have gotten over our denigration and subjugation of women using Scripture? And we're in this very exciting time where all of our religious institutions, even the most conservative ones who seem absolutely certain about this, are asking the question, could we possibly have gotten this wrong about LGBTQ people as well? And I want to take this moment to just point out something that's happened very recently, but the most important part of it. We are all just blown away by the president's mentioning us in the inaugural speech, and not just mentioning us, but mentioning our love for each other. And that, in and of itself, would be more than one could hope for. But I want to underscore what he did. When he said from Seneca Falls to Selma to Stonewall, he preached the message that has been preached here every minute of this conference, which is that intersection of oppressions is so important. And we have been in silos way too long. And no, our movement isn't exactly like the civil rights movement of the 60s, nor is it like the women's movement, but there are so many similarities because oppression operates the same way against all of us. And we have to draw upon each other's movements and what we have learned there and appreciate the differences in those movements, but also celebrate the ways in which we are stronger when we are together. We cannot expect other oppressed groups to turn out for us and for our issues unless we turn out in support of them. And I'm in the good news business, right? That's what gospel means, good news. The good news is we know how this is going to end, don't we? We know how this is going to end. This is going to end with the full inclusion of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, not only in the society, but in our religious institutions. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And you know what? What's really funny is that the conservatives know it too. If you get them in a quiet place by themselves, maybe with a couple of drinks in them, they will admit to you they sniff the smell of inevitability just like we do. And so all we're arguing about now is timing. But the timing is important because we've got kids still jumping off bridges. And so the timing is important, but we can suffer a setback or two between now and when we accomplish all of our goals because we know how it's going to end. We know it is inevitable, our progress. So I want to leave you with one image. Most of what I feel like I've learned about our movement, I learned being a part of and studying the civil rights movement that African Americans led us in the 1960s. I am to this day inspired by African Americans who went into the streets knowing they would face snarling dogs and fire hoses and death itself, and they went anyway. And I know some of us in this room have been in this movement for a long time, but I would say to all of us, let's toughen up for this fight. It is a worthy and righteous fight we're having to stand up for ourselves. And we need to draw inspiration from those leaders in that movement. And one of my favorite places in the whole world is the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. It's at the old Lorraine Hotel where Dr. King, it was the only place he could stay in Memphis when he was there for the strike, and it's the place where he was assassinated. It's a fantastic pilgrimage place, and there is so much for LGBT people to learn there. But when you go in the lobby of the old Lorraine Hotel, there is a big black monolith of granite or some stone. And carved in bas-relief around that monolith is an ever upwardly spiraling trail of African Americans. And every single one of them is holding someone's hand or standing on someone's shoulder. And what that piece of art means to me is that people in that movement, even though they knew they wouldn't live to see the end of racism, we still haven't, they knew they wouldn't live to see the end, but it was enough to take their place in that ever upwardly spiraling trail. And you, each of you, has some part to play. Small or large, private or public, each one of you has a place. And we'll never see the end, not in our lifetime, of bad feeling against us, even after the laws change. But it will be enough to be a part of this glorious company of people who are on this journey. I am so proud to be a part of this journey with you. I want to hold your hand. I want to stand on your shoulders and have you stand on mine. Nothing honors me more than being a part of this wonderful gathering. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue.